Good morning, students. How you doing today? It's Mr. Zach back here for episode 5. This is an exciting episode. I think it's probably one of the most important because it's the actual interview portion of Ready for Work. So at this point, you've done all your legwork, you got all your stuff together, you went out, looked for a job, and finally you got an interview. It's your very first interview. What do you do? And so I'm going to go over what I think are the most important parts to an interview, and actually created a model. It's a 6-prong model. It means it's broken into 6 different parts to an interview. So I titled them preparation, introduction, body part of the interview, the neutral time, and the closing time, and ending with a follow-up. So your interview is broken down into 6 parts. I'm going to go over each of those parts. Now, today's episode is going to be a little longer. So I told you I would let you know ahead of time which ones would be a little longer. So this one's going to be about 15, maybe 16 minutes. So I would find whatever tool you use to take notes and write down just some of the more important parts that I discussed today. And I'll let you know, you'll be able to figure out which ones I'm talking about. So we're talking about a 6-prong interview time, and it's exciting because the interview is really tell the employer you're the person for the job, okay? So you aren't going to be the only one applying. You're going to be in competition with other people. So I think within these 6 prongs, part of the interview, I'm going to give you some tips to stand out that'll help you stand out from the rest because it can get pretty competitive. Let's get right to it. And so the first thing I'd write down are the six prongs to the interview process. And we're going to go over each one of those, starting out with preparation. Okay, so being prepared for the interview. So let's just assume, for example, you went out looking for work, you made your calls, you talked to the supervisors, and they say, you know what, Mr. Zek, I'll use me as an example. I'd like to bring you in for an interview. Let's say, can you come on Thursday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? So let's just assume that the interview is at 4 o'clock, and now you got to get ready. So preparation starts with, first of all, you want to make sure that you are dressed appropriately for the interview. Now, most of the jobs that you'll be going out and looking for, you don't have to wear a 3-piece suit. I think I mentioned that, or an outfit for the work that you might be doing. So, but you do want to look professional. You want to be clean and groomed for the interview. So you might want to get the outfit you're going to wear out ahead of time and lay that out. Okay. You also want to get all your paperwork in order. So that's your resume that you created, your working papers, if you have a driver's license or school ID, anything that the employer may say, hey, do you have any paperwork for me so we can get you started and on the books? Okay, so you want to have all of that ready to go. And the prior episode, we went over some of the paperwork that you're going to fill out. So that'll help you do that if indeed you get to that point in the interview. So that's part of the preparation as well. So we have all that ready. So dressing, have all your paperwork ready to go. And remember what we said, your interview is at 4 o'clock. So arriving at 4 o'clock is, in my opinion, late to an interview. So you want to get to that interview at least 10 minutes prior to your scheduled time. And what that does is it kind of acclimates yourself to the environment that you're in. It gets you settled down a little bit because it can be a little nerve-wracking. Not going to lie to you there. It can be nervous for some people. So getting there early kind of gets you in the environment. You can look around, kind of like familiarize yourself with the place. It does calm your nerves down and be able to gather your thoughts. So dress right, get all your paperwork together, and you want to make sure you have transportation if you're not driving yourself, and you want to get there early. You don't want to get there half hour before the interview. And in some cases, even 15 minutes might be a little bit too early, but it's not necessarily unacceptable. So anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes prior to your scheduled interview is totally appropriate. So that's part of the preparation part, as well as learning a little bit about the place that you're going to be working. Obviously, if you're going to McDonald's, you know you're going to be serving fast food, and many of us know what McDonald's serves anyway, so that you can talk freely about that most likely. But some other places you might not know a lot about, so you want to learn a little bit about what you might be doing so you can help talk about that during your interview. So that is the preparation, okay, part of the interview. Okay, so let's go to the next part, and that is the introduction. So you're at the interview. You finally, it's about 4:00. The supervisor comes out who's going to be doing the interview, and you're introducing yourself for the very first time in person, perhaps, if you have not done that already. Okay, and of course, this is all assuming that relatively things are back to normal functioning and you can go out into public and meet people and things like that. Okay, I understand the COVID crisis inhibits us a little bit, but this is just assuming that things are back to normal. You're going in there. So you introduce the person. You certainly want to make eye contact when introducing yourself. Speak clearly. Introduce yourself. Hello, my name's Matthew Zeck. I'm here for my interview today, and I'm excited to meet you. And thank you for the opportunity to sit down and talk to you about the job. And you certainly want to give a nice firm handshake. You don't want to break their hand, but a firm handshake does go a long way and really does send a message without even speaking. So that is the introduction phase of the interview. You may offer up your resume at that time, or you can hold on to that towards the end, okay? Either way, you may be able to do that during the introduction, okay? So now we have preparation, introduction, and we're going to get into the body part of the interview. And this is where all the question and answering takes place. And it is very common for certainly the person hiring who just wants to know a little bit about you. So it's totally okay to talk a little bit about yourself, but you don't want to go into long, drawn-out responses. Be clear, be precise, get to the point, answer the question, okay? It's okay to share things about you to let the employer know, hey, okay, this person has these things going on. They sound pretty interesting. They sound pretty responsible. Now let's get to answering some of the questions about the job. So the employer will ask you many things, and I can't predict what they're going to ask you. Everybody's different, and there are some common interview questions that they do ask you, like tell me about yourself, tell me your strengths and things like that. So here are some tips that I think can help you regardless what question is asked. Number one, always be honest during your interview. Don't make up stuff. Don't lie. If you don't have a lot of experience, that's okay. You're young. Why would you? Okay? Employers know that. What they're looking for is the right people who can take direction, follow direction, and get the job done competently. Okay? So that's what they're looking for. Always refer to an experience that you've had. If you've been asked a question, let's say, for example, they asked you any experience about leadership. You might say, I'm on the drum line, and I'm one of the percussionists that leads the people onto the field, and that shows some leadership. And so, make sure you kind of go into that. Rely on those experiences. Always draw on that, or talk about an experience that's relevant to the job that you're actually applying for. If you're in food, you might say, I cook a lot at home. Those are things you can draw on, and that's totally okay and totally appropriate. The other thing is speak clearly and be confident in the way you speak. Okay, the way I'm speaking to you right now, I'm speaking with confidence. Okay, I'm not shy. I'm always looking into the camera, and you should always be making eye contact with the people doing the interview. Sometimes just one person, maybe in some cases you might meet with one or two or maybe even three people, depending on the interview setup. So you want to make sure you do that as well. And so all of the question and answering takes place during the body of the interview. This is a chance for you to tell them or explain to them why you're the person for the job. One important fact, I don't want you to confuse confidence with being overconfident or braggadocious, so to speak. You don't want to come off as somebody who knows everything and is great at everything, okay? There's a fine line between being confident about who you are as a person and your skills and abilities and somebody just going in there showing off, trying to brag, okay? That is an interview skill that you can always improve upon. But if you are just being honest, honestly, if you're being honest and humble, as well as confident, that's the best way to go. I'm just going to tell you. Because people can see right through the people who are trying to make things up to make themselves look good. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're also going to talk about your strengths. So there was a chance that during the body of that interview, you could talk about things you're good at doing. Okay, so I'm really good at technical skills. I work with computers a lot. I can really do pretty much anything with them. So if this job involves that, I'm really good with that. Or I fix things. I can take things apart and put them back together. You want to highlight those skills. Okay, that's important to do that. And again, be quick, clear, precise, and to the point. Okay, you don't want to be talking about that forever. Okay, so I'll take that as my next caveat, and I'm going to move forward into the next phase of the interview, which is what I like to call the neutral phase. This is where the initiation can come from both ends. It can come from you, and it also can come back from the employer. And this is a great opportunity for you as the interviewee to ask questions about the job. How many hours are possible that I can earn? Are your shifts varied? Are all during the day? Are they in the evening? Do I have to work weekends? This is a chance for you to share your schedule with them. Say you are only available during the evenings. Would you be able to provide consistent hours? So this is a chance for you to ask questions to the employer for them to answer. It could be about training. What types of training do you need to do or do you offer for the position that you're offering or possibly offering? So this is a neutral time during the interview where they can come back and ask you some questions, and then you can also initiate things. And it's always good to have one or two good questions to ask the employer. Shows that you have insight, you're thinking about the job, and you're taking this serious, okay? So now we're moving on to the closing part of the interview. And this is where you kind of like wrap the whole interview up into one package. And you're going to do just a quick overview why you think perhaps maybe you're a good fit for this position. You might tell them it looks like it's pretty exciting to work here. I love what you do. And talk about how you think you're going to be a good fit. This is also a time for you to thank them for the opportunity to sit down and talk about the position, and thank them for the time that you're giving them to share your skills and knowledge. So you want to be able to do that. Okay, that's part of the closing. You're always giving eye contact, and in the end, you want to get up and shake their hand. Give them a firm handshake. Again, don't break their hand, or they're not going to call you, jokingly here. And this is also a good time for you to offer up the resume work. Say you're prepared. You can just say, I'm prepared with a resume if you'd like to see that, another copy, my working papers or identification, if that would be helpful. Okay. And they may take it, or they may say, no, not at this time. We'll be in touch. That's perfectly okay. But it lets them know you are prepared for that position, and that will help set you apart from other people. Okay? And then the very final part of the interview is the follow-up. Okay, this is important. When you get home and you're done with the interview, you're at home, you want to send a quick email to the supervisor. So you want to make sure you get that information. You can either get that online or ask for it during the interview, and send them another follow-up email thanking them again. Just say, thanks for the opportunity to meet today, and I felt our interview went really well, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. That's it. That's all you need to do. It's not long. It's one or two sentences, but you can do that. If you felt that the interview went extremely well and the person doing the interview was fine with text messaging, maybe they even said send me a text or something like that. If you felt like that was okay and that was appropriate, you can do that as well. I think email is more professional, but you'll know whether or not the interview was going that direction. You felt, well, this person's okay with me sending a text. You can do that as well. However, I would kind of like steer away from that. You just don't want to get in the habit that everybody is okay with that. And I actually forgot one thing. I'm going to go back to the preparation aspect. Before you go back into that interview, or you go into the interview, make sure your cell phone's turned off, not even on buzzer. Turn it off for the 15, 20 minutes you're going to be in there. You don't need any disruptions. You don't need any buzzing going off or anything like that to distract from the attention from either the employer or yourself. So make sure that's turned off during your interview. Anyway, you're going to do great. I know it, and you're going to get the job. And if you don't get that one, you'll get another one. And interview skills can always be improved on. Okay, so it's a skill. Interviewing is a skill, no question about it. So a quick review, and then I'm going to wrap this up. 6 prongs to the interview. It's preparation. Make sure you're prepared to go. Get there on time. And 4 o'clock is not on time. You want to get there before the scheduled interview. Then you have the introduction phase. This is where you get to introduce yourself for the very first time. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. The body of the interview, it's where the meat of the interview takes place, all the question and answering. The neutral phase of the interview, this is where either party can initiate conversation. And then the closing, this is wrapping everything up, thanking them, and then finally the follow-up to the interview through correspondence, either through email or text messaging, whatever you think is appropriate. That concludes the interview process episode. Good luck to you guys. I'd like to know how it goes. Keep me posted. Thanks. Bye.